My next guest, John, married the love of his life and got to spend 30 beautiful years raising a family and making dreams come true with his beautiful wife, Ronna. They had plans of retirement bliss and traveling the world and doing all kinds of wonderful things together. However, life had a different plan, and the biggest wrench of all was thrown in, and their plans were completely shattered. What seemed to be carpal tunnel in her wrists actually turned out to be an ALS diagnosis. In 2013, for Ronna, John lost his wife and his best friend 2 short years later. Here to tell us all about Ronna and her beautiful story and his journey with ALS, please welcome tonight to the show, John Shanks. Hi, John. How's it going?
It's going fine. It's going fine.
Well, first off, you and I are both talkers, so this will be a challenge for both of us. Can you tell me in 90 seconds, can you tell me about Ronna?
Wow.
I know, that's hard. How do you do that? How do you tell about her magnificence in 90 seconds?
Ronna was a genuine person. You knew who Ronna was as soon as you met her. She was not pretentious. She was a great storyteller. She loved to make fun of herself. She could tell a story like nobody else, especially if you could hear it from a truck driver or a sailor. She was also a girly girl. She loved to be pampered, and her nickname that everybody knew was the Queen. Loved to have her nails done every week, loved to have her hair done. She made greeting cards with some friends, her and her sister, and it morphed into something more that they are now my friends. But Ronna was someone who would tell you what was on her mind, and she would also listen to you. One of the things my brother said when we were talking about Ronna was, if you walked into a gathering of people that you may not know, whether it be a wedding, a funeral, a conference, a birthday, driving home that night, the one person you would remember was meeting Ronna. She would leave a lasting impression on anyone, and she still does. She's still in my thoughts, and I try to do everything to keep her there. It's tough.
She sounds like my kind of woman. I love this. Queen Ronna, she's a great lady. I love hearing these stories about her. And I also love that you found your way to us, to the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter. What has this chapter meant to you? And what did it mean to you and Ronna through this whole experience?
They were my call. They were my advocate. They were my educators. They were there. They were the ones that brokered talking to the insurance companies. Again, as in the previous people that talked, this throws your life upside down completely. You don't know where to turn. You don't know who you should talk to. And it was one phone call to the ALS Association of Greater Chicago. When we were finally told at Mayo and confirmed, they gave us some information and they said, here's who you should call. And the Chicago chapter was who we called, and they became my lifeline. They were only about a block away from my office downtown. It was nothing for me to be able to go over and talk to somebody there because I was still working full-time as well as taking care of my wife, and I had CNAs that would come during the morning. So my day would be the CNAs would come, I would head off to downtown, then I would come home in the evening and relieve the CNAs, and I was responsible for taking care of her in the evenings and on the weekends. And I had family help and friends, but my questions, they were there to help, especially getting me things that I didn't think I needed, but before you knew it, what I considered, and I think Tony Cook was the one who told me this, was the things that you think are extravagant right now will be a necessity tomorrow, and before you know it, you will need it. And he was so true. Whether it was the BiPAP machine, ventilators, wheelchairs, scooters, helping us get the home checked out to make sure that it was ADA compliant. Just the things you can't even think about, as well as getting the insurance company involved so that we didn't even have to deal with the insurance company. He handled everything.
Yeah.
One of the things, the ALS Association, with them being as close as they were to my office, and as you know, because you came over, was every year, I worked for an engineering firm downtown, and they always did lunch and learns for the employees, where they would have the vendors come in and do their spiel about whatever it was, whether it was a new heating technique or a way of ventilating or their new product, whether it was a fan or something. And I went to my bosses and asked them if I could do a lunch and learn and actually have the ALS Association, the Chicago chapter, come over and do a lunch and learn. And they did. And you were one of the ambassadors who came over, because one of the things I found out was nobody knows what ALS is unless you know who Lou Gehrig was, which a lot of people didn't in our age. And because we don't have a Lance Armstrong or somebody else to stand up and say, I beat it, you didn't have anybody. So I wanted to educate the people in my office on what this disease was and what I was fighting, as well as what my wife was fighting. And then I also could enlist them at that point in time to be my team or on my team. And it was great. I had people that lived in Chicago that took the train out to Cantini with their bikes and rode their bikes back afterwards, or people drove out from Chicago to walk the walk with me. It really brought a lot of people together. And educated.
You brought up a really good point. You brought up a really good point. I want to jump in about the walk, because your team name was incredible. Tell us your team name for the walk, because you do the walk every year. You're doing it again this year. So I mean, tell people about your team and tell people why it's so important. If you're watching the show, get signed up, get on a walk team, join this team if you want to, start your own, get involved. Tell us about the walk team.
Correct. My team, aptly named, was Queen Ronna and her jesters, because that's all we were. We were there to make her laugh and to enjoy her jokes. I've had the same team name. It makes it easy for making T-shirts every year. It's the same color. But everybody that shows up that's on my walk, we all wear the same T-shirts, and I have them ordered ahead of time so that we make sure that whatever size you need, down to 6-year-old kids that want to come walking with us, to people that are weight challenged, as they'll say, or height challenged, however you want to call it. They all could make it. And every year we had a great turnout. Obviously last year it couldn't happen. This year is not going to happen. But it was a chance to reconnect with people that Ronna worked with. These were people that I kept in contact with, the ladies that she made cards with, friends, family. People come and go, but people were always there for the walk. And one of the things that I had challenged everybody was, besides making my own donation, I challenged everybody that did make a donation that I would match that donation 100%. And it was my personal goal to try to help eradicate this disease. It is the worst thing I can think of to have happen to somebody, to have somebody that is fully cognizant of everything that is going on around them, but can't well, for me it was communication. because Ronna lost the ability to speak, and that was the one thing that we enjoyed was her laughter, her storytelling. Um, so it
It's tough. I mean, it
yeah,
is tough.
it is tough. It is tough.
You saw this firsthand, and I do want to jump before we run out of time too much. We had talked on the phone about some really beautiful traditions that you have. Two of them in particular that really stuck out in my mind. That despite all of this, losing the ability to walk, losing the ability to talk. I mean, she was Queen Rana, and she still knew what was important, and what was important, what she loved, was having her nails done. So you guys had a tradition every Wednesday, right? Tell me
Correct.
about this. Your Wednesdays in your house.
Right. She always she had acrylic nails, and she always wanted to have her toenails and fingernails done, and then she had her hair done. Um, we found a salon in the local Bartlett area that could handle a wheelchair, and so every Wednesday I would work from home in the morning, and then we had a standing appointment down there where we would take the van down there with the CNA, and Ronna would have her nails done, whatever the color, whatever the season, because you had to be, seasonal. Toenails, fingernails, and then she would also have her hair done. And that was something that we got to do together every Wednesday, all the way up to the end. And the funny thing about it was I always just went to a salon and had my hair cut that we used to go to, but they kept trying to talk me into doing mani-pedis, and I kept saying, I don't need a mani-pedi. Well, I now have a mani-pedi, and I still go to that same salon, and they give me a mani-pedi and give me a haircut every 6 weeks like clockwork. And it's, again, it's another way to remember her. And they also did a fundraiser for her after she was diagnosed and raised several thousands of dollars, which I matched. But more importantly, it was the impact she had on those people, and it still carries on to today.
It's true. She was a special. That says a lot about her and how amazing she was, that she inspired all of this generosity in so many people. And also another awesome tradition that we talked about is her birthday. And you do something pretty special every year. Again, COVID messed things up for 1 year, but outside of that, you have an amazing birthday tradition, a lot like Meredith, who was on the show earlier. You guys are both celebrating in such special ways. So what happens every year on Ronna's birthday?
Ronna's birthday was right around Thanksgiving, but she always made sure that she had her birthday. There was no ifs, ands, or buts, because the Queen has to be remembered for her birthday, even if it fell on Thanksgiving. And what I continued to do, even when she got sick, was we got family members together, and it actually morphed to where it became family members, then it was neighbors, it was friends, it was people that Ronna worked with, it was people I worked with, it was people we hadn't seen in 30 years that found out about it. But I take everybody out to a local restaurant, pick up the tab, because that's what I had to do with Ronna. The Queen doesn't deal with money. That's off in the back. Just like the royal family, they don't talk about money. But it's a gathering on her birthday, every birthday, whether it's on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Saturday, or whatever. But I take everybody that wants to come out and pay for dinner. And then my wife was a lover of birds, hummingbirds, butterflies, and flowers. And if you ever come to our house, I have so many pictures of flowers, hummingbirds, and butterflies and the like. One of the things I do for every woman that comes gets and here's my Costco plug, gets the double dozen of roses from me to take home, and every child that comes gets some kind of floral, whether it's a succulent or the such, that they can take home to remember the evening also. So it's a parting favor. And the only thing I ask every woman that takes the roses home is they must send me a picture of the arrangement so that Ronna can see, she can see what they have done to remember her. It's my way of thanking everybody for remembering Ronna. And again, then we tell the stories about Ronna, and there are many that we have to remember her by. And that's what I do, and it's what I have done. And again, pandemic stepped in, and we weren't able to do it. We tried many different restaurants, but we couldn't. You know, a lot of them at that point in time were not holding reservations. But we will continue that tradition this year. So,
well, speaking of how amazing she is another thing that just, I mean, it speaks to the type of woman she was. You know, you and Ronna had these plans. You had these great plans. You were going to retire. I think you told me at 70. Ronna was going to work in a card shop. You guys were going to travel. And you kept, we all do it. You kept saying, we're going to do it when we retire. We're going to do it when we retire. You kept pushing things off in life and waiting for that moment. And obviously, life had other plans and you didn't get to make it to retirement. But what Ronna said something to you that completely changed your whole outlook on the future. And I think the way you live your life to this day. What was it that Ronna said to you that was a big change in your life?
well, she told me to not stop living. Yeah, we had the plans and had worked with financial planner, and actually she was going to retire at the age of 60, and yeah, to keep herself busy, she was going to work in a card shop. Yeah, and I think it was more so she could get out and talk and tell stories to anybody that would listen to her. And I was going to continue working because that's all I knew. I was going to work. And then, yeah, I'd retire at 70. And then we would go on and we'd take trips and we'd travel the world and we'd see adventures and we'd do all that. The only problem was she was diagnosed right before she turned 60 and passed by the time she was 62. But she did tell me to continue living. And I had her permission to continue living and to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. I had her permission to remarry. I had her permission to sell the house, to move, to begin traveling. And actually, I have done that over the last 6 years. I have traveled around the world with different people. I have traveled to Canada with my youngest son on a Hall of Fame tour. It actually happened to be in 2016. We actually were in Cleveland the tail end of October. Little did we know that the Cubs would be back there a couple weeks later being crowned champions. Went to Vancouver with him to see the Hockey Hall of Fame, something I had never done, but I told him, hey, whatever you want to do, I'm up for it. I went to New Zealand. I zip-lined in New Zealand. I orbed in New Zealand. I climbed in a glacier in New Zealand. I got to go to Tahiti and actually stay in a glass bottom room above the water. I got to swim with sharks and manta rays. I got to swim with a dolphin. I am now planning, and my walk's going to be a little different this year. I am actually going to Iceland in the middle of June with my sister and her boyfriend and his sister and her husband, who I have traveled to Tahiti and Costa Rica. We're going to travel and spend 10 days, or actually 12 days in Iceland, traveling around the country. And I'm bringing my team t-shirts with. And we are going to take pictures there, whether it's at the lip of the volcano that's active, or at the waterfalls that there, or even at the Reykjavik museums. But that will be my walk, and I'm still getting my team together. So if anybody can meet me in Reykjavik,
Yes.
I'll be there on the 16th through the 29th, or actually the 28th. But please, I'll be there. Look me up.
Okay.
But
Well,
that was one
you
thing that
did this
Ronna's
in her
done.
memory. You retired early. You didn't even wait till that 70. You retired early in the name of your wife, and you
Yeah,
did it. You did what she said. You started living all those dreams the two of you had together. You're living them out and bringing her along with you every step of the way.
I am. It was a hard thing to do because I was a workaholic, and after she passed, and I realized it through therapy and talking to other people, it was like, hey, you need to experience life, and that's what I'm doing now in her memory,
You
and
are. And
I
how,
bring it with me everywhere I go.
yeah, can you tell me just quickly, in 2 sentences, how has Rana changed your life?
Um, she allowed me to laugh at it. She allowed me to enjoy the moment, to actually sit down and relax. You don't need to be go 24/7. It's You can sit down on a summer's day out on on a screened-in porch and listen to the birds, fall asleep, take a nap. Um, those were not things that I was used to doing, but it's how I live my life now. It's 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 allowed me to change my thinking and to say it's okay not to do something all the time. Sit back and enjoy life, but also experience it. And again, that's why I said these trips are all about the experience. And it's whether I'm talking to my kids or other family members, is like, hey, I'm going here because I don't know if I'm ever going to have this chance again, but I don't want to miss it. And that includes taking a hike and looking at the sunset. It's like, hey, you may not see this, or the aurora borealis, or going up to see the polar bears in northern Canada. I want to experience it all, and she's the one that's pushing me along to say, hey, do it, enjoy it, you deserve it.
I know she is. I know she is so proud of you, and that you're just taking her along with this, all of these journeys, all these special moments. You're bringing her along with you.
Yeah.
So she is such a special woman. And as we go out, I would love to hear, when you get to see her again, when the two of you are face to face again, what's the first thing you're going to tell her?
I missed you more today than yesterday, but not as much as I will tomorrow. Um, she was my love, my life, my best friend, and my wife. And I just want to hear her voice again and have her tell me some more stories, because she could tell them. She could make a whole room light up. And I'll never forget it. Sorry.
No way, never. None of us are ever going to forget Queen Rana. She is here, and I know that she is partying up there. She's partying. Her nails are done. Her hair is done. She is just partying it up, and oh man, she is waiting for you and setting up the best party up there in heaven you could ever imagine.
She is holding court. I'm sure she is. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I love that, John. Thank you so much for sharing her stories and for living every day in her memory and making the most of it, and reminding all of us to do the exact same thing, because it is so important to make every day matter and make every day count.
It is. Thank you, Susan. It was my pleasure being on. I know you had to twist my arm because I'm not one to come on live. I like to stand in the background. But this is for a worthy cause. And since I was not able to do a walk last year, and the mini walk wasn't really my cup of tea, but at the last minute, I made a pledge that to make up for not having it at work, because again, everybody was at home. I didn't do my presentation. I actually sent out my normal notice to friends, neighbors, professional people I knew, everybody I had tapped, and said this year I was going to match 200%. And that's what I did last year, and that is what I'm going to do this year.
Oh my gosh.
And again, Ronna is a big part of why I was able to retire when I did, and so I am doing everything in my power to make sure the Chicago chapter gets funding that they need for advocacy, for education, for helping the caregivers, to spreading the word as well as the research. Again, I fervently believe in wiping this disease out. It is so horrible. I can't wish it even on my worst enemy. And in my lifetime, I want to see it eradicated. I hope to God it happens.
I'm with you, and we're not going to give up. We're not going to stop until that happens. And I do hope it is in our lifetime. I'm with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, John. And anyone that is watching, if you want to join a walk team, come on this one. Join this team. Be part of Queen Ronna and her gestures, because you heard it right here, guys. Everything that is raised on this walk team, John is matching 200%. That is huge. You don't have to be here in Illinois. You can do this from anywhere in the world. John's going to be doing this from Iceland, anywhere in the world, guys. Take a photo, take a walk, join the team, and John will match it 200%. Make sure you get in on this, our Walk to Defeat ALS. The very first one kicks off on June 5th, so you don't want to miss this. Join the team. John, thank you so much. Continue living in the name of Ronna. Continue spreading her message, and I will continue thinking about her every time I see a flower now.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
You too.